Great. Well, we have many introductions, and there will be continued introductions even into August as well. But we're going to start with Sherry Cox to start with a high school edition. So we're going to go in different orders with different folks coming up to make introductions.
I'm actually going to ask everyone that's being introduced this evening to come on up. I'm not going to introduce them all, though. Don't worry, Superintendent. Good evening, directors. I'm Sherry Cox, Executive Director of Secondary Ed, and it is my pleasure to announce the newest addition to the Issaquah High School administrative team. Peter Smith is here. He's got over 20 years of experience in international education, both domestic experiences. He brings a rich background in leadership and student-centered learning. He's held key roles in schools across 4 countries, including the International School of Panama and the Modern English School in Cairo, where he led programs that combined academic excellence with vibrant student life. He is going to bring so much joy to learning at Issaquah High School. He's pretty funny, actually. His work has spanned everything from classroom teaching to athletic leadership, and he is especially passionate about building inclusive communities where all students feel supported. I'd like to thank his wife and children for giving him to us because he will spend many, many hours with us. So thank you. His wife's in the audience tonight, and I welcome Peter.
Hey, thank you very much. I am really excited to be here. Thank you to the board, to Heather, Sherry, Erin. It was a pretty rigorous process, and I think I enjoyed it. But I'm super excited to be part of the Issaquah School District, and I'm privileged to be here, and I'm excited to start that work tomorrow with Erin and the team over at the high school. Thank you very much.
Are we going to do it one at a time?
Okay. Good evening. Melinda Reinvan, Executive Director of Elementary Education, and I have the opportunity to introduce 3 amazing people this evening. So first, it will be Valerie Lee, Principal at Challenger Elementary School. It's with great enthusiasm that we welcome Valerie Lee as a new principal of Challenger Elementary School. Ms. Lee brings with her over 2 decades of experience in education, including 9 years as an assistant principal and early childhood administrator in the Snoqualmie Valley School District, and 11 years in early childhood special education across California, Massachusetts, and Washington. Her deep commitment to collaboration, inclusive education, and student empowerment aligns perfectly with the values of our district and Challenger Elementary School. As a longtime Klahani resident, Miss Lee is super excited for her short commute to work. We are confident that her leadership will inspire continued growth and innovation at Challenger Elementary School.
Hi, everyone. Super excited to be part of the Issaquah School District. Yeah, I've lived in Klahani a long time, lived in Issaquah even longer, and I've always worked in other communities. So I'm very excited. It feels definitely like coming home. Everyone's been super warm and welcoming already, and I'm just really excited to get to work. Thank you for having me here tonight.
All right, next is Michelle Moon, Assistant Principal at Briarwood Elementary. We're pleased to welcome Michelle Moon as the new Assistant Principal of Briarwood Elementary School with 18 years of experience in education, including roles as a classroom teacher, instructional coach, and most recently, Dean of Students. Ms. Moon brings a deep commitment to fostering inclusive and engaging learning environments. Her 14-year tenure in the Issaquah School District, combined with her personal connection as a parent of ISD students, gives her a unique and heartfelt perspective on the communities she serves. Her passion for building strong relationships with students, families, and staff will reflect the core values of the Briarwood community.
I too want to say thank you. I'm really excited to step into this admin role. This has been home since 2011, Issaquah School District, and I'm just really excited to take this next step. So thank you to everyone.
And and Cami Zabilski, principal at Sunny Hills Elementary. We're proud to welcome Cami Zabilski as the new leader at Sunny Hills Elementary School. With a rich background in education that spans over 2 decades, Ms. Zabilski brings a deep commitment to student-centered learning and community engagement. She serves Sunny Hills in multiple roles, including teacher, dean of students, and assistant principal, making her transition into the principalship a natural and inspiring progression. Her teaching experience across grades 2 through 8, including work as a sci-tech teacher, reflects her versatility and dedication to inclusive, engaging education. As a longtime community member and parent of 3 Sunny Hills alumni, Ms. Zabilski brings both professional expertise and heartfelt connection to her leadership. We are confident that her vision and passion will continue to strengthen the tradition of excellence at Sunny Hills.
I just want to say thank you so much for this opportunity. I, as you know, just love Issaquah School District and very specifically Sunny Hills. And so to have the opportunity to lead this school is pretty special. So thank you. Good evening, Mariah Banasic, Executive Director of Finance and Budget. I have the pleasure of introducing Kurt Holmes and Kathy Catterhagen. So Kurt Holmes joined us in May as the new district controller who's overseeing the accounting department. He is an Issaquah School District graduate and brings a strong background in financial leadership, reporting, and internal controls. He's held finance leadership roles at East Side Research Associates, Dirtfish, and a local CPA firm. He earned his master's in accounting from University of Washington and a bachelor's from Gonzaga University. He is very excited to return to the community he grew up in and is committed to transparency, compliance, and service.
I'd just like to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to give back to the community and school district that I grew up in. So thank you.
And now I'd like to introduce Kathy Caterhagen. She is our newest member of the business office as the Director of Purchasing and Contract Management. Kathy brings more than 20 years of experience leading procurement in K through 12 education, higher education, and local government. She most recently served as Director of Procurement at University of Washington and previously held leadership roles at Seattle Public Schools and the city of Tacoma. She holds a MBA from Washington State University and is known for modernizing procurement systems and building strong partnerships. She's looking forward to supporting ISD's mission through sound stewardship of public resources.
Hello, it's a pleasure to meet you all. I look forward to working with each of you, and I'm just so happy to be here. So thank you for being so welcoming.
Hello, I'm Martin Turney, Chief of Finance and Operations. It's my pleasure to introduce Greg Jacobs, who recently joined us as our Director of IT Infrastructure, coming to us from Oregon, where he spent over 18 years leading IT strategy and operations in the healthcare space, most recently as Director of Information Systems at iHealth Northwest. There, he oversaw a broad range of impactful initiatives from modernizing infrastructure and launching enterprise EMR systems to strengthening cybersecurity and improving operational performance across dozens of locations. He brings not just a deep technical knowledge, but also a strong reputation for collaboration, problem solving, and aligning technology with real-world business needs. We're thrilled to have him on board as we continue to grow and evolve our IT capabilities. And please join me in welcoming Greg.
All right, good evening. Thanks for having me. ISD has been a real warm welcome, and I'm looking forward to coming back home, where this is kind of my home area of all my family. So thanks again, and looking forward to it.
Great. Heather Tauyuk, Superintendent. I guess I'll follow the introduction pattern that was set by my colleagues here. I'd like to welcome Jacqueline Downey to the district in the role of Assistant Superintendent overseeing academics in our schools. And she will now lead in the very same community where she grew up and graduated from. So another ISD grad. Most recently, Jacqueline led secondary schools in the Highline School District, and I know her impact and influence there will be greatly missed. And her skills here will continue to bring alignment, cohesion, purpose, vision for students who thrive will be very beneficial. Her focus on equity and access will complement our focus on urgently addressing opportunity gaps and ensuring that we are developing leaders at all levels of our system. In her interview and reference check process, there were numerous data points cited that reflect meaningful and measurable progress for students in terms of high school graduation, attendance, well-being, credit attainment, elimination of racial disparities, and a focus on post-secondary success. She's slated to receive her doctorate very soon, although I don't know the exact date, and I don't want to put pressure on that one either, from Johns Hopkins University this year. And her dissertation is on school improvement to increase Latino student post-secondary enrollment. So we are literally getting a rock star who can also belt out a tune, which I believe can be heard at a faith-based institution at some point by others. And actually, many people have already cited her stellar performance in those arenas. So welcome, Jacqueline.
Thank you so much, Superintendent Tao-Yik, directors of the board. I am thrilled to be joining the Issaquah School District as Assistant Superintendent. What drew me to the Issaquah School District was the explicit focus in the vision, mission, and strategic plan on ensuring academic opportunities and student well-being for every student every day. And as Superintendent Tao-Yik said, and like many of my fellow new administrators, as someone who grew up in Issaquah and attended Challenger Elementary School, Beaver Lake Middle School, and graduated from Skyline High School, I'm thrilled to return to my hometown to work alongside the community in service of our students. Thank you.
Great happy to you. I'm glad to see you. Congratulations. Congratulations. Welcome. Welcome to our district. I'm excited about getting to learn more about you. Thank you. I know. This is very fun. We are excited for our community and the leadership that that we have in our district. Okay, next part of public comment. We are still on public comment. This is an opportunity for the public to bring to the attention anything you want to comment to the district, except for items that are on our action, that are here for action. Yeah. I think that's all I'm going to say about that. I believe that we did not receive any prior to the meeting. Is there anyone in the audience or on Zoom that would like to provide public comment? Seeing none, we will go to the next item on our agenda.
I would like to provide comment.
Oh.
So my name is Ken. I am on Zoom. I just heard you guys talk about.
Just a moment. Let us get your picture. We do need to see who's speaking.
I don't have a camera. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
So I just have a microphone.
Okay, so we have a 2-minute time limit. So we'll put the timer on and you're welcome to begin.
Okay, so my name's Ken. My daughter goes to Liberty High School. I hear you guys talk about student success, helping them thrive, and student well-being. But what I notice is there are courses taken away to help the population that are needed most. So, for example, in Liberty High School, I noticed like the math labs are no longer available for students who need extra help, and there is no other place for them to seek that extra help. So I hear about this excellence, and there's plenty of opportunities for students to thrive if they're academically strong already. But when they are not as strong, there's lack of ability to get help. There used to be courses like that. There was geometry labs before. There was algebra labs, but that has been taken away as of last year. And I'm wondering why those decisions has been made. And then my second thing that I have issues with is, so at the end of the school year, when I try to reach out to talk to a counselor or a principal, the last day of school, when I find out what my daughter's grade is, no one's available. I left the messages, I get no return information. So I'm trying to make decisions to further my daughter's education for her well-being, but there's no one to talk to. So I am like struggling. Like we're talking about excellence and helping children thrive. And I don't see us doing that. I see people talking the talk, but no one making the shifts towards it. It's easy to help people who, when they are successful already. What about the ones that are not academic successful? How do we help them? We're taking my courses that are slated to help them. That's all the comment I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And oftentimes it's dissatisfying. It's public input, and so there's not an output or response from the board. But you're also welcome to email us at schoolboard@issaquah.wednet.edu. Is that the right one?
Yeah, that's
Okay. And so feel free to provide that. And if you could email us, sir, that would be helpful so that we can get connected with you. I think that some of those classes have been renamed, but we need to ensure that you have what you need. So
Oh, okay, what was the email again? I'm sorry.
it's on the district website under Board of Directors, but I think it's schoolboard@issaquah.wednet.edu.
Okay, thank you.
And this is on YouTube, so you can re-listen to this to get that email address as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so the next item on our agenda is the consent agenda. The consent agenda is a meeting management tool whereby the board is able to pass multiple items with one motion. The consent agenda items have been reviewed by the board prior to the meeting. Any board member may remove an item from the consent agenda and place it on the regular agenda for discussion. Do I have a motion?
I move the consent agenda be approved as presented.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? The ayes have it. Then next is the establishment of the regular agenda. Are there any changes to the regular agenda?
There are no changes to the regular agenda.
Okay. So we will move to our first item of business, reflections on graduation ceremonies. The board attended the graduation ceremonies for Issaquah High, Liberty High, Skyline High on June 12th. They also attended the graduation ceremonies for Gibson Eck and the Academy of Community Transition on June 13th. So just wanted to provide a time for reflection and anything you would want to share with the public. Director Mullings.
Well, it's the most wonderful time of the year, graduation season. And getting to see so many, I think I saw the number was we were at 1,500, a little over that, graduates across all of our programs. So it's a great culmination of the work of many, many, many people to get to see our students, their families, the communities come together. I'm always really interested in how different each of our school communities are. Some are louder than others, some are bigger cheers than others. So it's really a cool time. So, I know we don't pick favorites of our graduations, but the Academy of Community Transitions graduation for me is always the very, very special time to see the commitment that our district has to our learners up till their 22nd birthday now, and helping some of our students really work on their skills, their life skills, their ability to gain work and community connection and get to see their work on display. I did not cry this year at the ACT graduation, so it took 6 years for me to not cry at the ACT graduation, but incredibly beautiful experience to go through our graduations and a really deep honor to get to see all the work come together for our district.
All right.
Director Coyne.
Thank you. I will echo those comments too. It really is an honor to be able to be there for that day, to be able to sit on stage, to represent the district, to be there with students and their families. And it really is, for me, it's the most exciting part of being a school board member is the graduation. And just a special thanks to all the graduations and all the work that goes into those. And I'm thinking specifically on the June 12th, the T-Mobile graduations of Issaquah High, Liberty, and Skyline, and just a huge special thanks to Jen Fitzgerald, who does an amazing job leading all of that work. Our school principals and everyone who makes those days possible. I mean, for folks to see sort of behind the scenes. I mean, we're graduating 3 comprehensive high schools, big high schools, and it's back to back, and they move from one to the next to the next. And it is an incredible experience. I'll just say too, having now a Skyline grad myself, having a student who graduated from Skyline, it was a special night for me and for my family. And, I think you kind of, it's a full circle experience. I think about starting in the district when he was, it was September of 2012, almost 13 years ago, and now having a graduate. And it is a pretty incredible experience. And I keep looking at academics and foundations up there and seeing upon graduation, students will be academically prepared and confident to pursue higher education or specialized career training. And I think I've seen that for a while. We think about it, but now living it now with my own student, going through the Issaquah school system, I see it even more in the importance of that, obviously, too. So all that being said, it was a wonderful day, and it was a wonderful day to be there, not only as a school board member, but as a parent too. So thank you.
Director Taylor.
Just to add on a few more things, it is pretty amazing that the whole thing goes off without a hitch. I'm always astounded by that. And this year it was just pretty effortless, and it was really wonderful day. And I will just say that it is a day of joy. And I shared with my colleagues on graduation day at T-Mobile, there are a few days during the year where you can be in an environment where everywhere you go, everyone is smiling. Everyone is there, so happy and supportive of their graduates. It's very moving. So I hope that folks in our community get the opportunity to be in that environment and see that. And, it's a district that we can be very, very proud of when you're given the success of all these kids that we see as they go across that stage and know that they're on to the next step in their life. And it's all very, very moving. The last thing I just want to say is also a big congratulations to Gibson Eck, which graduated their largest class ever this time around. And that was a great ceremony as well at IHS. And again, to see those kids and all of the various experiences that they're moving on to was really, really great too. So anyway, a great day, and it is the best time of the year. Really great.
Yes, you may.
I also just want to say some appreciation for the live streaming of the big graduations. I know that's something that was really valuable for families at a distance. And I think at some point someone told me we had a couple hundred people watching those graduations. So I just think that's such a wonderful facility to be able to offer as well, because we do have families from all over the country, all over the world. And so to be able to welcome in more people, I'm just very appreciative that we were able to do that.
And I haven't looked, but I'm sure that the views on those graduations, even afterwards, is quite extensive. Superintendent.
Well, congratulations to Director Coyne for having the most recent graduate here at the at the dais. And we also had 2 other cabinet executive leaders with 2 children graduating, or young people graduating, Donna Hood and Melinda Reinvan. So it's really a great celebratory day, not just for students and families, but for the board as well as our team members. And there's many more examples of staff members who have students, and there's some really lovely routines and traditions that help us uplift that, even in nice ways. So that's great. And as you said, Director Mullings, we had over 1,500 students graduate across Issaquah High School, Liberty High School, Skyline High School, Gibson Eck, and the Academy for Community Transition. And again, just want to echo thank you to Jen Fitzgerald. I think she's really the glue behind all of the school teams that play their role with their respective communities, but she's the glue behind all of that. So the live streaming, the flawlessness, the details really make a really big difference for the experience.
Well, I did. I might get a little choked up, but these were my last graduations. And so it's just, that's the best part. And like Director Coyne, like you were saying, ends too. It's our academic foundations, and it really is the way we measure the work. And I'm going to miss it. I was thinking about when I was so appreciative to be able to hand diplomas to our grads that were student reps. They have been a remarkable team of student reps for over the past 2 years to really vitalize that program, really putting into practice the vision that we had when we switched over what student reps are going to be. So I was very, very glad to be able to give Aditi, Naomi, and Deshita their diplomas. So that was exciting. Didn't do Havas just because Gibson at graduation is completely different. If you haven't attended one, watch it on YouTube because it's just remarkable. You feel like you know every student by the end of it. So I did not want to take away and distract from Havas graduation, but I really do appreciate all that they've done. And so I was thinking about next year and going, I don't get to hand anybody a diploma. Because I won't be there. I won't be able to take those special shots that I send to my friends that we all like take pictures of people we know who have kids that are graduating. But it was great to spend that time with you all. A great board to spend on my birthday. So it was a great, great day, celebration for everyone, and just excited about what our students are going to be doing from here. Okay, next on the agenda is works in progress. Superintendent.
Great, thank you. So this week has been marked with the final last days of school. And so we did have some fun continuing transitioning and stepping up ceremonies for our young people. I had a fun kindergarten stepping up ceremony that was complete with the song for Pomp and Circumstance, which my son asked me to play again later. I'm not sure exactly what was the motivation there, but I think it's associated good memory. But amidst all the transitions that we have been sort of speaking about over the past month and even tonight, I do want to talk about one key moment that is to highlight for our district, which is with our dual language program. And the dual language program this year promoted the very first group of fifth graders to middle school. And those students are starting, they had started in the dual language program in kindergarten as a first cohort. Those families persevered through COVID as well. And the consolidation of the program to one location to maximize effectiveness and to really bring that community together. And on a recent assessment, the fifth grader students, I can share the really good news about this. They outperformed the country, and they also did really well on the indicators for reading, writing, speaking, and listening in Spanish. So that's a really incredible success point. And our program is emerging, so we're still growing it, and that will continue next year to support the students moving to Issaquah Middle School. And they'll be able to continue their journey towards biliteracy and bilingualism in a social studies class taught by a Spanish teacher and who's endorsed for both that and social studies. So we're excited about the continued expansion of the work, and you got to start and you got to take small steps and you got to get there, and then you have to prove the model and then continue to expand. So that's our whole goal and our hope. So that's really important for us to just highlight for right now. Next week, as we continue to wrap up the year, our residents across all of our communities, Sammamish, and I'd like to name them because it's important to say that we have such a wide variety of community members across the area, not just in Issaquah, but Sammamish, Issaquah, Renton, Newcastle, Preston, and parts of King County, they will be receiving an end-of-year postcard sharing our appreciation of just the many ways community members step up to support our schools, and also share some key facts and stats about the year and the district because it helps to have a reminder of what we're up to and the incredible success and volume of the work. Especially if you don't have kids currently in the district, you might not be aware of the changes, the updates, and how large our system is. So as I shared some of the facts earlier, we have over 1,500 students who graduated from high school. There are over 264 extracurricular clubs that met. We have 170 buses that travel over 1.1 million miles. Over 760,000 meals were prepared in-house. 97 languages are spoken by our families. We had 5,215 yearly middle and high school student athletes, and we have just over 1,700 students in before and after school care, and we have 6,500 plus volunteers. So by the numbers, there are incredible things happening, not just within our schools, but also with the support from our community, academically as well as operationally. So I want to just highlight that for the group. And as we start to pivot to planning for next year with this end year transition, there's been some important activities this week. We've had an Ignite training here in this room for our teachers and administrators to accelerate access to learning for all students and to meet all of their needs based on learner variability. And that's a great incubator space to have colleagues also spread their good learning and their practices to improve access to opportunities in the classroom. Our cabinet team met as well to retreat, although we retreated to a room just across the hallway. And we reflected on the year, started to plan for some of our monitoring reports for next year. This is a moment to capture the best fresh information as we prepare to monitor next year for what happened this year. And we talked about our next level efforts on multi-tiered systems of support. We had a training on project and change management. We had a discussion on our collective commitment to civic engagement and community work and what those opportunities will be next year. And that was just a good opportunity to do some team building and activities. And I think we all agree that anything that Dr. Melinda Ryan Van plans for as a team building opportunity is one that we will always sign up for. And enjoy, not just sign up for and go through, but enjoy. Also this week, we've had XQ facilitate an important educational outcome analysis and audit for our district. And it was a really unique opportunity to bring together multiple data points that were collected in advance, to do some transcript analysis, and to bring together a conversation. So I'm going to show a quick video that I'm going to talk about a couple observations I had from the past 2 days. And thank you, Stephen, for having that ready. And this will give you a preview of what this XQ work is and how that's helping us potentially.
XQ's Educational Outcomes Audit and Analysis, or EOAA, is a set of experiences that take schools through a journey and show them how prepared their students are for college and career. The EOAA experience consists of an analysis of student transcripts, surveys of students, parents, and teachers, and student focus groups.
We had 2 whole days for all of our high schools to go on a personalized journey and experience looking at their data grounded in student voice with parents, with young people, with school counselors, with educators and leadership teams all in one place together. We knew that the EOAA and the data that schools got from it was going to light a fire. I don't think we anticipated how big that fire was going to be. Literally within weeks of the EOAA, we were getting emails and phone calls from principals talking about how transformative that had been, because it wasn't just the principal and their leadership team in the space, but it was also young people. It gave them the shared language and understanding of what the barriers were for student success. And that was that spark that a lot of folks needed to prioritize redesign. Students saw that there was an opportunity here for them to lead change. And our educators also saw how fired up their community was to be a part of something. The EOAA was an inspiration experience for everyone. And I think it's raised the bar for us to think about how do we create more moments like that, more moments to have meaningful data, more moments for facilitated conversation, more moments to look back to plan for the future.
So what was great was the facilitation on site the past 2 days by the XQ team. And Keith spoke there as the head of local and state partnerships, and was great to sort of see him in person because I've only seen him virtually. And what was amazing about this opportunity, as you heard a bit about that video, is that you're bringing together students, families, counselors, other staff members, teachers, principals, and then maybe other district team members as well, to sit with each individual school team and be facilitated in their own journey around looking at college transcripts, survey data from both families, students, and staff and their perceptions, and to talk about college eligibility, college readiness, and post-secondary options. And so as we think about our academic foundations and coming off of the graduation conversation, is every single student in our district set up for success for any of those 3 areas? And truly, what are we doing to make sure that those are known, and that we are working not only in partnership with our young people to design the ways that most matter to them, but also in partnership with families. And so my highlight was certainly seeing that in action and seeing that really strong integrated set of conversations happening, but to have all voices be equal. And so our students really shined in these days. Of course they do. And whenever they take the mic, they teach us. And we heard a lot about what the opportunities can be to improve our work, but also rethink about how school can be a more engaging place for them to thrive, as well as not only themselves from their perspective, but that being accessible and supportive for students of all backgrounds, in particular, our students with IEPs, our students who come from multilingual families, and our students who might be struggling and might be far behind. So it's a really great way to have that be part of Spotlight. I even heard some students today say, we need to go deeper. And how might we work with our other students in our school, because we're just two voices? How can we expand that conversation to other students and to make sure there's a strong representative sample of the different students in our school to ensure that we're thinking about this the right way? So it's relevant because as we consider this next high school, this is again a continued conversation for the community and the board, but this will help put more data, information, and voice into that conversation to give us a strong launch pad. So I want to thank this is all pro bono, and it's really helpful to have that attention also and support and resource for our district. But I think we will be able to use that and run with it when it comes to next year. So everyone came and showed up. They came back too. I was like, you came back. Thank you. Thank you, family members. Thank you, students. And that's been amazing to spend time in that space. Couple other things are happening as we set up for next year. We've got some summer work going on. We are asking our administrative team and leaders in the district to delve deeper into the mental health and well-being of our students and the impact of social media. I know that has been a topic of conversation for the board and our community, and it's important and incumbent upon us to have a review of certain artifacts that help give different perspectives and information that augment our point of view and really help us understand that a bit more. And we're also pouring into our leadership in terms of thinking about the strengths-based approach. We do that for our students, but we need to do that for our team members. So we're embarking on a reflected best self exercise where all of our administrators are getting their stories, their best stories of self, and they're going to be reflecting that over the summer and then coming back to talk about that with the goal of saying, when is it that I'm my best self, and how can I be more of that in my day-to-day work, and how can I enlist others to help me with that? So those are the things that we're working on in preparation for next year and thinking through how we can bring our best selves and bring that joy to the school year and have that be the sort of energy that surrounds us and really fuels us as we continue to do great things.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is a capital projects update. So Mr. Mullings.
Good evening, everyone. Tom Mullins, Director of Capital Projects here at the district. Give a quick update, starting with the 2018. We're going to start with the 2018 levy, go to the 22 critical repairs levy, and then an update on the Capital Projects Oversight Committee meeting number 2 that we had last week, and another update on the new high school. Critical repairs 2018 levy status 28 complete. We have 7 in substantial completion, which are very near, just lacking some paperwork with the state. We have 7 still in process, and we still have 2 future projects that we are contemplating what to do with right now. We have the 22 levy projects. We have 1 complete. We have 1 substantially complete. And then we have 12 in process and 1 future. Capital Projects Oversight Committee last Tuesday on the June 17th. I guess that was 2 Tuesdays ago. The 26 members, 17 were in attendance. The committee we focused the committee on the review of the 22 levy. There's a lot of information when it comes to these type of things. So we thought we would focus them in on the 22 levy. Community members asked a myriad of questions and made lots of recommendations on how to expand information, expand upon the information we provide and make it more clear for the public to understand. So when we put it out on the website, it's better understood. We're working on implementing some of those things. Updated information related to the Capital Projects Oversight Committee continues to be added to the Capital Projects website, updating all the time as we receive new information or have new meetings. The next meeting is scheduled for September 16th, and the committee continues to review the monthly budget status reports in the Capital Projects website. Update on the new high school. We're still in the process of making revisions to the existing project. We met with city staff and continued to discuss the process of the submittal of the revisions to the project and what the schedule will look like related to those reviews. We still have a target construction date of March 1st of 26, and we're still expecting the opening date to be August 27. Any questions?
Any questions? Director Mullings?
I'd love to actually know more about what were some of the comments on making things more accessible.
At the Capital Projects Oversight Committee.
In the Oversight Committee, yep.
Yes. So we've recently, in the last couple of years, we started what we call the project one pagers, which are a status. They wanted to just mainly in those go in and expand a little more upon what each one of those, since we focused on the 22 levy, what each one of those projects, the schools that or the sites or the projects that were specifically going to be entailed in those. Little more information concerning change orders, a better explanation on change orders and what they were for instead of just naming change order 1 or change order 2, more information related to those. They wanted us to expand a little bit upon the project schedules and an explanation if there was a deviation from the original project schedule, a little more explanation as to what those deviations might be. And maybe a little more explanation on just the overall budget. And again, what projects had included, what the scope of those were. And so they were all very good comments. Some of them are going to be fairly easy to implement. Some of them are going to take a little more rework to get the information we think they're asking for provided on a single sheet or a sheet that's consumable and not overly lengthy or overly detailed.
What I appreciated about these questions is that they're similar questions that the board had been asking for many years about detail for. And I think what this group did not know is that maybe we didn't have that as publicly available. And so they're helping us take it to the next level, and they're playing their role in providing oversight and feedback. So I think it was a great opportunity to one, feel very affirmed in our direction and progress for making more information publicly available, but also account for some of the changes that do occur, which is realistic. And they did acknowledge that we understand we work in industry, capital projects ourselves, or construction, or in project management. And so we get that. So they actually are providing their expertise in a way that is very, very helpful and in that regard. So it was very helpful to get that, but also very affirming that we're in the right direction and continuing to make progress.
Can I ask a very basic question?
Yep.
Did they know any of the information was there?
Did they what?
Did they know it was there?
They knew because they'd been directed to it before.
No, I mean before you directed them.
I would have to take probably a poll of the members as to whether or not they see that when they go to the district website, and then to drill down to construction, and then to drill down to, a specific bond or levy, drill down, then you go down to the next level. Have they done that? I'm not sure. And that's what we were that's part of this whole process, true, is to try to educate a few of the community members on the information that's available and try and spread that word that information is available and accessible and consumable.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll just give my observation, and that's wonderful. So I'm glad more people are in the data. I'm glad they're giving feedback on the specifics. That's awesome. my observation over the past several years is that kind of conversation starts with, we need more transparency. And then people find it, and you can give them like, hey, here's all the information, and the reaction is usually, well, let me now give you small changes. And what I think we need to figure out somehow in this, I know we did usability work when we launched this version of the website, was like, how do we bridge that gap in between of like, how are we sharing things that we believe are of public interest, whether that's featuring like every so often, like here, I know we have like in the search, you see top topics, but maybe what that's really telling us is every so often, how do we feature that those pieces of information are available or available in depth so that people don't have to come to the Capitol committee and dig, I say lightly, because I think things are actually quite well arranged on our website. But I think there's some way that we have to figure out how to promote it, because I think without things being more obvious, people tend to go a bit to the negative, which is it's not available or it's not transparent, which just isn't factually correct. So I just wonder, what work can we do on that key topics? Like, what is a consistent push of some of that? That's not just for you, but it's just, you bring up the thing I've been noodling on about, like, I was just wondering, like, they can get feedback on the document. That's great.
Yep.
But I would love more feedback on how do they know to begin with as we think about discoverability. But thank you.
Thank you.
Director Coyne?
I have a related question that I had noted. I'm curious, because I know that we have representatives on the committee who obviously live in the community, but do not currently have students in Issaquah School District. Have they given any suggestions? This kind of goes back to what Director Mullings was saying in terms of ways to reach out to members of that community. Because I worry, I know we've got a lot of good content on our website, but to be honest, if you don't have a student currently in the Issaquah School District, it's unlikely you're probably going to go to the website. Have they offered any suggestions?
Well, one specific example, somebody claimed that they didn't have any idea about the new high school and this type of thing. And what was the update and how would I know this? And we discovered that he had gotten a mailer, but we assumed that he didn't read it or pay attention. And I think therein lies part of that communication problem with some people. It's whether an email is going to work, a newsletter, a mailer, what type of information is going to get to that particular person. We didn't get a lot of complaints about not understanding what was going on in the district. It was more specific to capital projects and in particular the information related to the individual projects.
And that's helpful perspective. I'm wondering too, because I always think about like a push or a pull. I mean, have they given you any sense, like, is a push better, or are people saying, yes, if I know where it is, I'll go now to there and I'll tell other people to go there too? I mean, have you gotten to that point yet where they've offered much insight around that?
No, we haven't. And we this is probably a good time on this next meeting to incorporate a back and forth a little bit about, now that we've been through 2 meetings, we've given you resources, we've shown you where they're at.
Yeah.
Can you get there? Have you done it? Have you went through and found this?
Yeah.
And see if they have or not.
Yeah, I mean, that's
So,
what I would love to hear. I mean, I think with the Capital Projects Oversight Committee, I mean, I think there's so many positives with this, but particularly understanding how people get information, because we oftentimes hear from so many people who say, hey, I didn't know about that, but the information was out there. And then you tend to go to a more negative place because you don't know where to find it. So yeah, I would love to hear what their insights are around that so we could make some improvements there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think along those same lines, I do wonder, again, it goes back to how do we communicate what people want to hear in a way they want to hear it? And I think it's just a tough nut to crack, right? I do think that it may be down to, we have a new website, but can we have a smarter AI attached to the search, right? So it can get at summarizing or being able to get deeper into what is it that you need, rather than just a text type search that pops up things that are sometimes irrelevant. So I think there's work for us to do, but I think it's great that they're able to see that it's asking the right questions, asking questions that the board would ask, but we don't have the expertise that they have. So they have another level of expertise. So I do appreciate all the work of the committee. Ongoing, I know that it's the middle of June, and I know that it was a really celebratory time for people that might have students or friends graduating from different things. Is that the normal attendance? Is there kind of a, after so many absences, if you're not able to attend, we can find somebody else who has more bandwidth?
I'm gonna work with comms to reach out to the people who didn't attend. There were a couple that gave us a heads up to begin with graduation. One had to leave early to go to Cougar Mountain for his daughter's graduation, that type of thing. But we were going to reach out and just make sure they're still interested. And because it is quite a bit of time between each meeting, and if you're not paying attention, it can sneak up on you. And we're giving plenty of heads up to them. So yeah.
Okay. Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is accelerated learning.
Great. So as Dr. Ryan Van rejoins us up here at the podium, there are other names attached to this. Oh, motion first. Thank you.
I move the board authorize the district's highly capable program plan as presented.
Second.
Okay.
Great. All right. And now that Dr. Ryan Van is at the podium, actually, there are other team members who also joined to support her, but she is the lead voice of this in this time. But we have Dr. Dana Bailey and Rich Mellish, who are here as well to augment as needed. And the focus here is our shift to really call this accelerated learning so that we can think about it very expansively in the future. But this is really focused on the sort of current update at hand and sort of the role of the board in helping to support our submission that we do annually to OSPI to support this work. But I do want to take a moment because this is Dr. Bailey's last board meeting officially with the Issaquah School District. And as we are in the moment of transitions, I want to make sure that I recognize her graduation here from the Issaquah School District. Well done. And as she steps into her next role in the future, she will be missed here, and she's already had many different sort of mini moments of celebration to recognize her amazing 20 plus years here in the school district. So this is her last time potentially on the mic, and I wanted to not miss that opportunity as a key transition moment as well, and a celebration moment for Dana, although certainly our loss. But with that, I would say now over to you, Dr. Ryan Van.
Good evening, directors and Superintendent Talyik. This presentation provides an update on the Issaquah School District's highly capable program, including our services, identification process, and alignment with state requirements. Thank you for the opportunity to provide an overview of the highly capable program along with the state reporting requirements. We follow Washington Code, which outlines the expectations for identifying and serving highly capable students. We submit an annual plan to the Office of the Superintendent of Public Instruction, which must be approved by the board. The plan approval allows the state to allocate funds that are to be used solely for highly capable identification and services in our district. And this is going to be based on some guidance that came out in 2023. The definition you may have seen before this was around 2016. So I just thought I would bring this to the forefront for us. But this is what the most recent report from the legislator has accepted. It's going to be incorporated into the WAC that's in-house right now, which is highly capable students perform or show potential for performing at significantly advanced levels compared to others of their age, experiences, or environments. Exceptional abilities are seen within students' general intellectual aptitudes, specific academic abilities, and/or creative proclivities within a specific domain. So, every 5 years, there's a legislative report, and so this is the most recent. The guidance emphasizes universal screening twice, once in or before second grade, and again in or before sixth grade. Services should focus on enhanced instruction and accelerated learning. This presentation has a link to that report, and it also shares statewide data that is accessible to the public. So right now it's in this report form. When you talk to OSPI, they actually are trying to put it into like a report card style kind of search that you would use just like our academic achievement data. So if you had a chance to browse through this, just know that there will be something that's going to be kind of at your fingertips from year to year with the data from across the state. So for our identification process, we use multiple measures to identify students. And one of the reasons why we do this is we don't want anyone to not be designated just because of one kind of assessment or one kind of a piece of evidence. So we have the Iowa Test of Basic Skills. It's nationally normed as a standardized test, and it's used to assess student achievement. This is used with secondary students. We have iReady, which is something that's already embedded. So it's not like we're creating any kind of assessment fatigue with our students. We already use iReady to inform our instruction. So we look at reading and math in grades K through 5. We also use a cognitive abilities test, which is the COGAT, short for Cognitive Abilities Assessment Test. That's used for grades K through 12. And then we also use a creativity test called the Torrance Test of Creative Thinking. And it's a series of assessments designed to measure different aspects of creative thinking in individuals. And we use that for grades 2 through 12. So this gives you a little visual of the process and the timing. So if you had a student in the Issaquah School District, there would be an opportunity for them to be universally screened 3 times, even though the recommendation is 2. We have it at kindergarten, in 2nd grade, and then at 5th grade. And then just today and yesterday, this admin building was very full because we actually had our new students to the district being tested for services. So we have that ongoing usually in the fall and in the spring so that there's never an opportunity missed. And then our continuum of services, we came up with some really fun names because that's what elementary folks like to do. So you might have heard these. If you're visiting a school, they'll say, oh, well, that's, the PEP group, or, they're meeting with their SAGE teacher. Or if you were at Apollo or Endeavor, they would say, oh, this is a Merlin classroom. So for our kindergarten, 1st and 2nd graders, we have Primary Enrichment Program, PEP. And that is a project-based learning opportunity for students, which is about a half hour to an hour a week. We have our Special Approach to Gifted Education, or what we call SAGE, which is a pull-out for 1 to 2 hours a week. And it's mainly in the content areas of reading and math. So one student, if they're served in both areas, they might have a little bit more time versus if a student is being served in just one of the content areas. And then Mind Education Right-Left Integration. That is our self-contained classroom. I know that the board has really wanted to make sure that it was accessible. So we have it at 2 sites. We have Apollo in the South End and Endeavor up in the Plateau. And then for our secondary continuous services, we have a lot of ways that students can access enhancement and acceleration. I think one of the things that has been a priority of the board is whether you're designated or not, that there's access. So I believe that a lot of barriers have been removed. So if you're designated, your counselor does actually have to document that they're checking in with you and that, you're being you're having a chance to talk about, what are your goals? What are your courses that you're thinking about? How can I help you? But with all of this, the dual credit CTE, Running Start, college and high school, as we've had in other presentations, this is available to all students, but we also are going to be mindful if they have that designation at secondary level. That's something that we're going to be having touch points with and conversations around. So these are our goal areas moving forward. We're committed to equity and access and to address opportunity gaps, which was our district problem of practice. We've expanded universal screening to 3 times a year and broadened our assessment tools. We aim to align services and actual academic needs through differentiated instruction, acceleration, and mentorships. So thank you for letting me share that. And I have some time to answer questions if you like.
Okay, before we get to questions, we are taking action on the plan. So if there's any public input in the room or on Zoom regarding this issue, seeing none, we'll go to questions. Director Coyne.
Thank you for the presentation. Good information. It was nice to know what some of those acronyms stand for. Merlin, I did not know either. Question I have on so secondary 6 through 12, as you were saying, if they have, I guess, that accelerated learning designation, they're checking in, and I think it's great we give students choice. I think one concern I have a bit is sometimes that choice, you have families pushing kids into those courses where they may not be the right fit at the secondary level. And so it's great that someone's checking in with the kids that have sort of been designated to qualify for those accelerated services. But do we also, on the flip side, are we checking in with those kids who maybe do not, who we were worried may have, maybe they've been pushed into that because of a family particularly wanting to have that their student in those accelerated classes? I'm just curious, what does that look like?
It is really responsive and flexible. One of the things that was highlighted in the 2023 guidance is really having an opportunity if a student wanted to furlough or exit. I think what a counselor would say is if you're designated, the way that it gets reported, it can be general education. It could be differentiation through a path that you've chosen. And if you look at the report, actually out of the 295 school districts, 288 report that that is something that's happening in their districts. But there are conversations that family can have about a furlough or an exit. So if they did have, say, a designation and for some reason they didn't want that designation, they could talk about that. That's kind of a technical thing. But as for the path or what they're accessing, that is why we want to have the conversation. And there's timelines that the counseling department has set with the counselors to touch base with their part of the alphabet who are designated, and just making sure that they are being responsive. So there are opportunities and there is some guidance around if someone wanted to exit, they could do that as well.
That's great to hear. I think my observation at the elementary, from K through 5, there wasn't, because it was basically kind of aligned to the designation or whether or not you qualified for the accelerated programs. And I remember going into middle school and that choice opening up. And, we live in a community where, the question came up, is your student accelerated? And probably 95% of the people in that room said, oh, yes, that's what I want to learn about for my student. And I worry about that. That's always a concern that I have, particularly in this community, that sometimes we push too much of that. I think choice is good, but I worry about that too, because it maxes out our students. And I know too many students that have been pushed in those paths and it has not been a good road for them. I think they've really struggled because of that. So
I would be excited to talk more about the mentorship and internship side of a path for students, because I think that that is something, like we saw some innovation earlier with students looking at their transcripts and then, thinking about, what is it that will guide you on your path. So I do think that would be a great opportunity, because there are going to be some pathways that may or may not have requirements that students are aware of, or maybe they don't need those requirements because they're selecting that path. What a great thing to have a mentor to help kind of guide them along that.
Absolutely.
path.
Yeah. Thank you.
Director Mullings.
This is very clear and makes full sense to me. I particularly like this continuum of services. Just talk about all the different potential options. I guess the question that comes up for me, because I've never heard I guess I don't think we've ever had the conversation, is students where they might be designated as twice exceptional. And how do we actually account for that in our programming, where we have students who may have both highly capable designation as well as some other learning disability or special services need?
That is a lot of conversation we have with our parent groups as well as our staff. We do have twice exceptional students, and I think that talking about our MTSS model and how it's a support but also kind of strengths-based application for students. Our student IEP meetings started off as strengths-based meetings in 2018. And so I think that's really important to anchor in on that there are students who are going to need support in certain skill areas, and yet they also are probably needing enhancement in other areas. And that's the whole person. So I think that is why it's so important that we still continue to center on, and we're actually building out and piloting more strengths-based conversations and applications for our students, because we don't want to miss out on that. Just because they're getting support in one area doesn't mean that they're not needing enhancement in other areas. And that's a part of a team that we need to also always remember and consider that. I've been at IEP meetings where they're talking about, like, what are we going to do because they're really accelerating? Can we modify? Can we compact? We've got this goal over here. Can this be part of the conversation as well? And sometimes it's also helping with things like engagement, behavior. It's going to be wrapped up in a plan that the team puts together, because we know that some students, if they're not engaged, then they're maybe not going to be manifesting as a successful student. So I do think that looking at the whole person is extremely important.
And do you feel like I understand the individual side of it. I guess the accelerated program seemed so boundaried, and maybe that's just my perception. I don't know how else to say that. Like, they seem very finite. And so how do we know that access is really facilitated? Or is there any sort of meeting or understanding across multiple students and fall into those categories? I guess I worry that depending on where that conversation starts, kids end up in either one or the other, versus navigating between the two of acceleration and support. And I guess I would love to know how that plays out in real life, and who across those two spectrums, because they're very different spectrums of services, like who's making sure that navigation happens across both sides and not just one or the other.
I think that some of our team members, like our school psychologists, we have nonverbal parts of our assessments. We have the creativity side of our assessments. And we also have reports through our cognitive abilities tests that kind of share what kind of a learner a student is. But I would say that there are students that might have amazing spatial reasoning skills, which isn't very apparent if you were just to observe them maybe doing, say, a math lesson in a classroom. So I think when like our school psychologists are bringing information to the team, bringing all of the information, not just what a goal area is for lagging skills, but wow, look at the nonverbal, look at the creativity, what are we doing to feed that? Should be a conversation that's happening in our classrooms and our tier 2 conversations. So, we do things at a tier 1 level for all of our students, but there are students who, we're having our tier 2 data meetings and we're looking at data all the time. So it might be that a psychologist sees that, brings it to the teacher's attention, and then they could create a plan off of that.
I guess, thank you for your questions, Director Mullings, because I was thinking the same thing. Like, how does Twice Exceptional really play into our plans? Because I think, especially when you get into secondary, we move from having something that's highly capable. I think there's more flexibility at elementary to just a highly productive program, right? So it's not about the students necessarily, their capability, but how much can you produce quickly? We do acceleration through tacking on a lot more work, right? Rather than same amount of workload, but thinking deeper, thinking beyond that. So it is my concern that ongoing, we still have a highly productive program and not a highly capable program. And I think they're very different.
Can I add one little bit about Director Mulling's question? So we have a standard pack of assessments to go through for the highly capable program. When you get to an IEP meeting, the team decides what tests are we going to run. So if they already have an indication, either a hunch or raw data about a student's exceptional capabilities, they can really dig deep in their toolkit to say, what is the perfect assessment tool on the special education side to really draw out these students' special strengths and unwinding or unteasing if they have twice exceptionalities that might be hard to see on the surface. So this program has, as you saw, the very set additional assessments that the students participate in. The school psychologist owns the road on which tests are we going to do next. And they have a deep toolkit to say what, we won't use the standard set for this child. We're going to go with something really special.
And I think that's encouraging. So just to let you know, I have actually been serving on the OSPI committee that has been working together and putting together the WACs for the new law. So we've had a lot of deep conversations. So that's why I'm like, a lot of conversations around this and excited to hear that because one of the areas that we were talking about is many districts are using just 3 assessments. And then I don't know if they have the continuum of services. So they'll say, oh, well, if you didn't get a certain percentage on all 3, you're not in, right? And so to be able to hear that, hey, we're looking for including instead of excluding shifts the focus. So how can we include kids rather than exclude kids? And I think that will help really to see, especially where we're at with disproportionality. It's still something that I would appreciate maybe getting a information after this to where are we on proportionality of students served in our programs. Because we're really, so many of those things is to try to target mitigating the disproportionality we currently have.
Your work has not gone unrecognized. The last meeting I was at OSPI for highly capable updates, when I said I was from Issaquah, they're like, oh, you work with Director Moraldo. So, and they're super excited about the WAC updates. So they're like, they can't get done soon enough, but they're really excited. They're in-house, they're getting edited, and they're going to be amazing. So I know they appreciate that
and
commitment and time.
Doing a presentation at WASDA.
Great.
Yeah. Any other questions or comments? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So with that, we have a motion. So seeing we're at the end of discussion, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? The ayes have it. I do say that when people talk about moving into the district for our schools, many of them move into the district for our robust access to accelerated learning. Okay, next on the agenda is a review of web-based platforms for board meeting agenda and documentation. I know. Leave it once.
Good evening, President Moraldo, school directors, and Superintendent Toyek. Yes, I have the most exciting topic of the night, so I'm thrilled to be here. Obviously, you're well aware, and certainly want to make sure the community knows. We had a situation with one of our servers in a former platform that we managed board meeting management called Event Planner. It lived well past its life cycle. And from a security perspective, beyond its useful life. So we were able to transition quickly to a temporary solution on our own website, which is under Final Site. During that time frame, we had an opportunity to review a number of different platforms. You want to change the slide? Appreciate that. So as we evaluated on multiple different platforms, we looked at 7 different platforms. There were Board Docs, eScribe, Onboard, Ideals Board, Convene, Boardable, and Civic Plus. These are all platforms that provide access to board agendas, minute development, live meeting updates, motions, voting, you name it, all the bells and whistles that potentially a board may want. But first of all, we had to look and make sure that the systems were web accessible and ADA compliant, also met our records retention requirements at the state level, functionality and usability, scalability, long-term fit, and then also looking at the overall cost. We not want to look at it at a single year, but we looked at it like to a 3 to 5 year period. Go to the next slide. So after going through looking at all these different platforms, there were only 2 platforms that really met our top need, and that was really based on web accessibility. There was a public view and access to the public, and easy translation. And both of those, that was Board Docs and eScribe. Very, very good platforms, but they also provided a bunch of additional resources and application opportunities that really went well beyond our needs at this moment in time. We also looked at the training, the implementation timeframe, and then while we were going through this, we were working with the staff and the administration as we stood up a temporary system. We started to become more efficient with our own temporary system. Before we knew it, we decided that we can actually survive and succeed without adding another application that required a cost, and there was no more training, and it was seamless. And it also was part of our search engine. When you're talking about how do we improve AI, well, as soon as we put something onto the current website, it's part of our own search engine, and it's also indexed immediately by Google. So it becomes a lot easier to find in the search engine world. And also our current website meets FERPA, and it's SSO and password protected. So security was already established with our current system. So in the end, we made the decision just to stay with our current platform. Obviously, if the changes of the board or at the district level require additional needs, well, we have a good basis of some of the platforms that are out there, and we could easily shift to another platform in the future. But our recommendation and my recommendation to the superintendent was to stay with our current website and be able to manage all the agendas. And I feel the administration team was behind it. It was a team decision to make the recommendation. It wasn't just only myself. So I have any questions at this time?
Thoughts, questions? Director Mullins.
I should probably know what I'm about to ask, but I'm going to ask it. So it seems like our preparatory process is a little bit different, right? Like how links show up, that kind of stuff. Though, do I look at like how things worked for this meeting as an example, how we'll just go forward, the way things show up, the security password, that whole process. So that's set the way it is, and we'll go forward that same way. That was my question. Thank you.
I mean, yeah, certainly, yes. And if there's some adjustments or making ease of use or accessibility, we can work on it. But yes, this
No,
is
it's just more, I know things have looked a little different over the last couple of months. I honestly don't remember what it was. I remember what I just did this week. And so it's just like, I'm just going to keep doing the same thing as this week. That's perfect.
The biggest issue too is this: if you set your translation or your language preference on our website, it obviously translated immediately. And the other platforms, you would have to go into your browser settings, reset your browser settings to whatever your language preference is, and so that made it a little bit more difficult. All right.
I think that's the best part. And I've used Board Docs for a couple of other organizations, and I just absolutely hate their interface.
It's unfortunate. It's hard to navigate on others. I've gone to other districts to try to find other policies. I think this is awful. So this looks great to me.
Yeah. I do think that making sure that our policies are easy to access is going to be important. You know, which is our policy versus which is a monitoring and things like that. I think my biggest concern really is a backwards look at making sure, you know, we have a lot of stuff that was kind of lost. Our meeting minutes have not been robust for years because we said, well, watch the podcast or listen to the audio. And so I think, you know, there won't be any like, here's what the agenda was. I think that's one of my considerations of, do you know what the plan is for that piece?
Well, on everything, we're compliant for all the record retention for the back year. So we're able to take the stuff off the old server, put it into a format that exists on our current website. So if you look at any of the past meetings prior to when we went to the temporary shift, it exists exactly in the same format that it was. And the documents that are associated in those agenda items are also easily attainable and download and view from that standpoint. So,
Okay.
so we're meeting the record retention requirements. All the archive agendas are back and they're all up to date, and we'll continue to manage it going forward. And you'll probably see an update in the summer where we'll move some of the other stuff into more of an archived accordion condensed version. So you're just seeing a little more easier to be able to look at just the past year, where then you can still access all the prior years to that.
Okay.
So
Thank you. Yes, but no? Okay. And there's no action for us to take on this one, so. Okay, thank you.
okay. Thank you very much.
Cheaper is better. The next item, not to have left it like at the last end of the board meeting because it was not as significant, because this is as significant. So those of you that have lasted this whole time, I'm glad that you did. Part of the past few months, we have had the opportunity to meet. The board has met in executive session twice. Don't ask me the dates. I don't have them off the top of my head. Oh, you will in your motion. So why don't we start with your motion then?
I move the board approve the contract of Superintendent Heather Talyek for the term of, well, maybe I won't, July 1, 2025 through June 30th, 2028, and accept the annual summative evaluation of the superintendent, board superintendent relationship 5E as presented.
Second.
That's okay. It was one day in May and one day in June. It was a delight to be with you during those discussions. So we want to talk openly about the fact that we are extending a 3-year contract. So we'll basically tacking on. Really pleased with the results of the superintendent. So in the 2024-25 school year marks the second year of implementation of the district's 3-year strategic plan. The plan centers on 5 key pillars: student well-being, academic opportunities, diverse talent, authentic engagement, and organizational effectiveness. So the board would like to highlight and share appreciation of the following accomplishments in some of the key areas of the strategic plan. So I'll start with student well-being. The superintendent launched the district's first comprehensive resource fair, providing families access to key services and support networks. The superintendent also supported the expansion of the school breakfast programs, improving access to nutritious meals for students and reinforcing the district's commitment to equity and well-being.
And I will continue in the area of academic opportunities. So during the course of the year, superintendent worked through the initial implementation of universal design for learning to support inclusive, accessible education for all students, as well as navigating a complex bond crisis, and provided a forward-looking plan to alleviate high school overcrowding.
Right, and I have authentic engagement. Successfully recruited Mark Sherwood as Executive Director of Communications, evaluating the district's communication capabilities and strengthening its relationship with the public. Yes, very good timing. Developed and implemented a more coherent, coordinated, and effective internal and external communication strategy. Strengthened relationships with the broader community, enhancing transparency and public trust through proactive engagement with families, civic partners, and the media. Within Issaquah, positioned the superintendent as a visible and collaborative leader through regular outreach with city officials, community organizations, and civic groups.
And I will discuss organizational effectiveness. Superintendent established the Capital Projects Oversight Committee, which we just discussed actually tonight, reinforcing financial transparency and public accountability through oversight of major infrastructure initiatives. Also, the superintendent demonstrated strong crisis leadership with an effective and reassuring response to the bomb cyclone storm in November, which was certainly memorable for all of us. Maintained a sound financial position in close collaboration with our chief financial officer, ensuring long-term fiscal health and stability for the district. And then also continued the development of a strong budget process with intentional steps towards implementing an equity-based budget framework for our upcoming 25-26 school year.
And then I will finally talk about just beyond the strategic plan, also the superintendent's leadership development and external relationships. So the superintendent maintained active engagement in regional and national networks of executive educational leaders. Leverage these professional relationships to bring innovative practices and shared insights back to the district, reinforcing a culture of continuous improvement excellence. And you shared some of that today. And added necessary support at the cabinet level by hiring Jacqueline Downey as Assistant Superintendent and Jason Golick as the Chief Information and Technology Officer. So those are just highlights. Overall, we can look throughout the system and see that that the changes that the board has been looking to are being addressed, are being discussed, and looking for ways to make those improvements so that when we talk about our academic foundations, our civic engagement, our life management and personal awareness, and our overall mission, that we're speaking about all students. All students will graduate. All students will live as responsible members of society. So again, and I'll say it because at any time I can in this last few meetings, all means all, and that's all means. So Superintendent, we thank you so much for your leadership, the leadership of your team, and continuing to work to build a team that will bring the school district really into a new phase of what we need to do for students as education is shifting rapidly. And we know the impacts of AI, especially in what our communities will need as far as a labor workforce, seem to be rapidly changing. And so we need to be addressing those as soon as possible, because I don't know what kind of jobs are going to be out there for today's kindergartners. And if you think about it, they might likely live until the 22nd century, which is really crazy to think about. So thank you for this past year, and we look forward to the continued years of working with you. Okay, I won't be working with you in continued years, but just anytime I can.
It is truly a honor to be able to work here and to be able to lead here and work alongside incredible colleagues who are all sitting in the back of this room here, participating at times, but also listening and providing support. And there's many others obviously outside of this room, but the opportunity to work in a district that has the board values that align with my own in terms of what's best for kids and the pursuit of both excellence and equity at the same time, while making sure that we're constantly evaluating how we do our work to be better all the time, is so important to me. So I am grateful and honored, as I said. And, you know, I do have a kindergartner. And so when I think about, well, actually, I should revise that. I have now a first grader, which was told to me immediately on Tuesday at 10:45 a.m. that I don't know what the future holds. And the predisposed notion of what comes next is so changeable and exciting at the same time. And so when I think about what's possible for our work and the fact that systems can move quite slow, public institutions, you know, there's a lot of planning cycles, there's a lot of regulations, there's things we have to keep in track of and take account for. But at the core for me, it's around figuring out what the next level is, how we level up together, and how we leverage all of our best parts to be able to reach our overall mission and vision. So I'm excited to do that. I feel like it's, you know, next year will be year 4, and how do we kick into high gear and keep going. So excited to do that with you.
And the superintendent evaluation is an evaluation ultimately of the whole district. And so I do want to thank not only the superintendent, but the staff all the way from the cabinet down to the teachers in the building, the staff members in the building that serve our students lunch, our bus drivers, et cetera. Every single person needs to be a part of this work in order for us to be a successful district. So thank you. Next on the agenda, oh, wait. Oh, yes. We actually have to take the vote now, don't we? Is there any more discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Great, thank you. Now we'll go on to the next legislative matters.
Oh, it's me. Okay. Not much to update right now, other than the fact that I had the opportunity to meet with the superintendent and CFO attorney in what I would call an initial discussion and planning for the next legislative session. We want to be very purposeful this time around in thinking about a strategy for how we can work with our legislators to really move the ball forward for some things that we need here in our district. We're all very aware of the big three that we continue to call the big three: special education funding, MSOC, and transportation. But we also want to make sure that we are investigating other opportunities for us to work with our legislators for the betterment of the district. So we're having those conversations. We'll continue to have them over the summer, and hopefully culminating towards a meeting with our at least our fifth LD legislators for sure, hopefully our 41st as well, where we can share some of our thoughts and get their input as well as we move forward. And as I mentioned in the past, we do have a commitment from all of our three, at least fifth LD folks, to meet with us sometime maybe in August or September to have that conversation. So more to come on that, and we'll keep you updated as we move forward.
Any questions or comments? I think for me, my only comment, and I think I'll be interested to hear from the WASDA board as they kind of develop a larger holistic view of things, is recognizing how much the legislature did put into funding the big three, well, at least 2 out of 3, and making sure that we're not just always, thank you, but you didn't do good enough.
I'm very concerned about that. Yes.
Right. So if we keep going back and keep going back, I am concerned that they'll say, well, it's never good enough, and just stop listening.
Right.
So I think maybe finding what is at the core of maybe some of those expenses that they can help with that isn't monetary. Are there policies that are impacting us? You know, the amount of time it takes to put together the highly capable plan, and what kind of supports are around that. You know, can it be every 6 years? Like, what are the things that we might be able to do that isn't necessarily just rattling the can?
Yeah. Very good point. The discussion that we started to have already along those lines.
Okay, great. Okay, the next item on the agenda is announcement and correspondence. There is a list of correspondence that the board has received. Is there any additional that board members would like to share? I have none. Okay, hearing none, we will go to the next item on the agenda, which is the calendar and future agenda topics. So right now, I only have that we are changing our regular board meeting to Thursday, July 10th at 9 a.m. And it will be Zoom only. We will not be having that in person. That is likely going to be just the consent agenda, and then, and the pledges of allegiance. And then that'll be really it. Any other things that we need to? So again, we've had some conversations, and I think during those we have been jotting down items for the board retreat. We will have to, Harlan and I will review that with the superintendent, because otherwise we're going to have 5 days of retreat. So there is a lot of work ahead. And for the public, I always say there's no treat in retreat. We do the retreat here in the building. We don't go off to some fancy schmancy place like other districts do. But it also makes it more accessible for the public. And with that, there's no other comments. We have reached the end of our agenda, and so business is